Imagine a time of heroes and villains, of love and war, of gods and mortals. Welcome to the legendary tale of the Trojan War. This epic saga, steeped in myth and history, has captured the imagination of generations. It's a story where the lines between the divine and the mortal blur, where the realms of reality and fantasy intertwine. Our tale begins with the city of Troy, a stronghold of power and prestige. Here we meet our key players. There's Hector, the gallant Trojan prince, a paragon of virtue and valor. Achilles, the mightiest of the Greek warriors, a man of immense strength and profound complexity. And then there's Helen, the woman whose unparalleled beauty sparked a war that would last a decade. The narrative is as grand as it is tragic. It tells of a war waged by a coalition of Greek states against the city of Troy. It's a tale of Trojan horses and treacherous gods, of heroic feats and heartbreaking losses. But amidst the drama and the spectacle, the question remains, is this just a myth spun by ancient poets, or does it hold a kernel of historical truth? As we embark on this journey, we'll sift through the layers of myth and reality, exploring both the legendary narrative and the historical investigation. So buckle up, for we're about to delve into the origins of this epic saga. Now, let us delve into the origins of this epic saga. The seeds of the Trojan War are sown in the realm of Greek mythology and epic poems like the Iliad by Homer. It's a tale that intertwines the lives of men and gods, where divine intervention becomes the norm, and human fate is intertwined with celestial whims. In this intricate weave of mythology, gods and goddesses play pivotal roles. Zeus, the king of the gods, is involved in a complex plot of revenge and manipulation. His wife Hera, the goddess of marriage, along with Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Aphrodite, the goddess of love, are embroiled in a divine dispute that spills over into the mortal world. The spark that ignited the Trojan War was a golden apple, a symbol of discord sown by Eris, the goddess of strife. This apple, intended for the fairest, was to be judged by Paris, the prince of Troy. Each of the three goddesses, Hera, Athena and Aphrodite, tried to bribe Paris with power, victory and love, respectively. Paris, swayed by Aphrodite's promise of the most beautiful woman in the world, hands the apple to her, thus kindling the flame of what would become the Trojan War. The woman in question was Helen, wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Paris, bewitched by Aphrodite's spell, abducts Helen, an act that stirs the wrath of Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae. This abduction sets in motion a series of events that culminate in a decade-long siege of Troy, involving legendary heroes like Achilles and Hector. In the grand scheme of Greek mythology, the Trojan War represents a catastrophic conflict, a struggle where gods meddle with human affairs and heroes are born and die by the whims of the divine. It's a war that, according to Homer, reshaped the ancient world. With such divine meddling, the stage was set for the greatest war in Greek mythology. But does the city of Troy exist beyond the realm of myth? Let's take a look at the evidence. The tale of the Trojan War has captivated humanity for millennia, yet it was long considered just that, a tale, a work of fiction. That is, until the late 19th century, when an ambitious and controversial figure, Heinrich Schliemann, decided to challenge the status quo. A self-taught archaeologist, Schliemann was convinced that Homer's Iliad held more than just mythical tales. He believed that it was a historical account hiding in plain sight. Schliemann set his sights on a region in northwestern Turkey. There he uncovered the remains of an ancient city. He was convinced that he had found the lost city of Troy. His discoveries included fortifications, a grand gate, and artifacts such as pottery, weapons, and jewelry. These were signs of a civilization that had once thrived and fell, just as Homer had described. Since Schliemann's time, the site has been further excavated by a series of other archaeologists who have discovered several layers of the city, each representing different periods in history. This gave birth to the idea of Troy levels, indicating different time periods of the city's existence. Interestingly, one of these levels, known as Troy Seventh, seems to coincide with the timeline of the supposed Trojan War. It shows evidence of a violent end, with signs of fire and conflict. Could this be the layer that bears witness to the legendary war? But of course, caution is needed. While the archaeological evidence does suggest a city that fits the description of Troy, it doesn't conclusively prove that the Trojan War happened. There's no "Made in Troy" label on these artifacts, no definitive sign saying Hector was here. These ruins provide tantalizing clues, but the question remains, is this the site of the legendary Trojan War? To answer that, we must journey back to the late Bronze Age and the geopolitical landscape of the Eastern Mediterranean. In this era, city-states dotted the Mediterranean coast, each one a distinct entity with its unique culture and governance. These city-states were not isolated entities, but a part of a complex network of trade, diplomacy, and yes, conflict. It was a time of burgeoning economic competition, territorial disputes, and shifting alliances, all of which could easily trigger a war. Imagine, if you will, the city of Troy. Strategically located near the Dardanelles Strait, it controlled the passage between the Aegean Sea and the Black Sea, a major trade route of the time. This gave Troy significant economic power and influence, but it also painted a target on its back. Other city-states and emerging empires may have coveted this position, leading to potential disputes and tensions. Meanwhile, alliances, as fickle as they were, played a crucial role in this era. The city-states often formed alliances to protect their interests and ward off potential threats. These alliances, while providing security, also entangled the city-states in a web of obligations. A conflict involving one member could drag the entire alliance into war. It's not hard to imagine how a dispute over economic or territorial dominance could escalate into a full-blown war. Let's not forget the cultural aspect. Honor and prestige were paramount in these societies. The abduction of Helen, as told in the Iliad, could very well symbolize a violation of guest-host relationships, a sacred cultural norm, providing a casus belli, a cause for war. So, was there a Trojan War? We might never know for sure. But when we consider the historical context, the late Bronze Age in the Eastern Mediterranean, with its economic competition, territorial disputes, and intricate alliances, we can see that the stage was indeed set for a conflict of epic proportions. The stage was indeed set for a conflict of epic proportions. The Trojan War, real or not, has left an indelible mark on our culture. As the echoes of this ancient conflict reverberate through time, they have found resonance in literature and art, shaping our understanding and interpretation of this epic saga. The Trojan War first burst into the realm of literature through Homer's Iliad, an epic poem that paints a vivid tableau of war, heroism, and the capricious whims of the gods. It's in these verses that we meet Achilles, Hector, and the beautiful Helen, characters that have become emblematic of the Trojan War. But the Iliad is just the beginning. The Trojan War has been a wellspring of inspiration for countless works of literature throughout the ages, from the Roman poet Virgil's Aeneid, which follows the journey of a Trojan hero after the fall of Troy, to more contemporary works like Madeline Miller's Song of Achilles. The Trojan War continues to be reimagined and reinterpreted through countless lenses. Moving on from the written word, the Trojan War has also made its mark on the visual arts. Ancient Greek pottery is adorned with scenes from the war, frozen moments of heroism, tragedy, and divine intervention. These depictions not only provide a glimpse into how the ancients might have imagined the war, but they also reflect the values and beliefs of their time. In more recent times, the Trojan War has found a home in the world of cinema and theatre, with films like Wolfgang Petersen's Troy and plays such as Jean Giraudoux' The Trojan War Will Not Take Place, offering new perspectives on this age-old tale. The Trojan War has become more than just a story or a possible historical event. It's a cultural touchstone, a collective memory that continues to evolve and adapt with each retelling. It's a testament to the enduring power of myth and the human fascination with tales of love, heroism, and disaster. Whether fact or fiction, the Trojan War continues to captivate us. And as long as we continue to tell stories, it's safe to say that the echoes of the Trojan War will continue to resound through our culture. So, what's the verdict? Was the Trojan War myth or reality? We've journeyed from the mythical origins through the archaeological discoveries to the historical context of the late Bronze Age. We've witnessed its enduring influence in art and literature, yet the scales remain balanced between fact and fiction. It's up to you now to ponder, to question, and to explore further. In the end, perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, in a world where myth and history intertwine.